Today we're talking about how INFJs detach from somebody they love and move on. As INFJs, if we come to a place where we say, I have to detach from that person, then it's probably not a healthy relationship. It is probably something that happened through trauma bonding. It's a toxic relationship that makes you feel like you have no soul. Those are most of the situations where we have to detach ourselves. Because if it's just that, a really close friend of yours or somebody that you have deep connections with in another way, maybe a romantic way, is moving away, we're still able to keep a connection with them. So the only reason why we want to detach from somebody that we love, that we focus on, is because it's not healthy for us. And this entire process is very difficult for us INFJs, particularly if we start from this perspective of, I have merged with this person. I have focused all my energy on that person in a way of I have absorbed everything. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you start, where you end. And these situations, besides the fact that they lead to one-sided relationships, are very hard to break. And as INFJs, we have to understand that, we have to accept that, and just take it as a great learning opportunity. Because once you're able to move on from that, and that can also mean that that person stays in your life, you just have a completely new relationship with them. And therefore, there is a detachment there. It's like you're a different person and they're a different person, and therefore the relationship is going to be different. My best friend, for example, who I met in college, she's an INFP, and there was such an unhealthy trauma bonding happening there that, it was unhealthy for both of us. And so now she's still in my life, but we're two different people. We're two separate individuals, and we don't spill over each other. So today we're going to talk about how to detach from a person we love in a healthy way and move on for real. Not just what it looks like on the outside, but that we know it from the inside. Some of us have stayed in those bonds for years, maybe a decade, maybe even more. I know I have more than once. And so I know what it takes and how hard it is. And I also know how worthy that cause is, how important it is to really break from those unhealthy, traumatic bonds, even if there's love connected to them. Remember, if you want community around that process and choosing yourself and making sure that you create a life that allows healthy relationships, then join our amazing INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp community. We have launched, you have time to join until May 11th, so before our first live call. And we're not only in a community that is a safe space where everybody can be themselves, but we also encourage and inspire each other to take steps toward our INFJ Epic Life that is full of healthy relationships that encourage you to be yourself and to love yourself. I hope many of you join in this bootcamp round. Remember, it's lifetime access, so I'm looking forward to seeing many of you this Saturday in our first live call. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. So the first step as INFJs that we have to take in order to detach from somebody for real and not just, how it looks on the outside, is to start expressing ourselves. It's the one and most important step. So that might include expressing our anger. That might include expressing our resentment. It can be our grief that relationship is not what we hoped it would be. And there's so much vulnerability with that. And I understand it because you're showing your dark side. You might be showing all those aspects that aren't that lovable. We as INFJs present this perfect image that is full of harmony, that doesn't want to rock the boat. And we just hope people, leave us alone. But that's not who we really are. We're human. So allow yourself to be human. Express yourself because you've absorbed so much of that person's energy. If you're not expressing your interpretation one way or another, so through the things you say, through the music you listen to, make that also towards the other person. It can be in your head, it can be directly to them, but let it all out. Because in order for us to fill ourselves up with who we are, to really define a space around us that is just us, that is never up for debate ever again, we first have to remove all of those things we accepted. And the things we're going to let out, the things that we're not going to allow in our space, they're not only going to be the negative things. We're also going to lose out on the things that were beautiful. The way that person inspired us, the way they touched us, the way they made us feel connected, even for a moment. All of that will vanish. All of that has to get out of your system. Because yes, we can absorb other people's emotions. Yes, we can be inspired by them. We can cherish them. But it's still not who we are. And we have to make a choice that no matter how much we love another person, if doing that to this extent is unhealthy for us, then we have to let it go. One way or another, we have to choose ourselves first, even if it wasn't that bad for us. But if we define what space has to stay only for us, then we can make healthier choices. And as I said, yes, you will lose a lot of things. But always remember that it's your interpretation of who that person is. The emotions that you feel around that person, you have created them. They might have evoked them in you, but now that you felt them, you can create them. Their uniqueness is going to stay them, but you're now going to see it from the beauty of who you are. And that's a choice we have to make. If we are not expressing ourselves, you're always going to wait for the other person to walk away. And most of the time, that's not happening. You have to be the one who really takes up that space and says, I'm letting it all out. This is who I am. And now I cannot see you. I cannot connect with you the way I used to. Up until this day, I'm not able to really catch people's energy the way I had now. It's not that if I didn't hang out with them for a while, I couldn't pick it back up. But generally speaking, I'm taking up so much more space that it will take a lot more for a person to really be able to get that close to me. I'm not going out of my way to connect with them on their level. And as painful as that process is, it's the most important step we have to take in life. Step number 2 for INFJs to detach from somebody they love is to accept the fact that door slamming them isn't going to make us be able to cut them out of our system right away. No matter how much you express yourself, no matter how much space you take up, this bond, there is a pathway that has been created. It is something that you've gotten used to. It's like an addiction. You can't just say, oh, I'm going cold turkey and I'm never going to want that drug again. You're going to want it. It's going to be there readily available for you. And you're probably going to have connections and emotions for that person. You're going to fall back into old patterns a little bit, but it's not going to be like before. And while you do this, while you accept that this is part of the process, you give yourself leniency. You say, that is why I need to express myself. I'm not a cold machine. I'm going to be affected by this. So I have to make sure that I don't allow all of that energy in. And then I can take the next step. The third thing INFJs have to do in order to detach from somebody that they love is to recreate the emotions they felt. So this is not about copying who that person is. That's not possible, and that's not even something we should try. But we have to ask ourselves, why did I detach to that person? What did I get out of this? There are a couple of things for INFJs. One of the things is we felt needed. We were able to help them. We thought we could. And this is something we want to do so much. So our second function in other systems is considered our parent function. It's because something we want to do even if we don't get any, thank you in return. We want to parent that. And so we have to understand that if we're willing to help others, even in situations where we neglected ourselves, then it's something that we need. But we need to find a healthy outlet for it. So that's why something like YouTube, writing, being a coach, helping others and counsel others in the ways that you can, or it can be through your art. There's so many ways INFJs express their FE. But ask yourself, in all of those trauma bonds where you were expressing yourself, where you felt like you are helping that person and you didn't even want something in return, what was it that you wanted? And how can you create a healthy outlet for that? Those are one of the things we, for example, work on in our vocation pillar in bootcamp, because it's really about defining who you want to be and then using outlets to help others in a healthy, sustainable way. So that is the one thing. The second thing that we got out of it is an emotion, an experience. Most of the time there are, things firing up in our mind. So it might have been dopamine, it might have been serotonin, whatever it might have been that made you feel a certain way. Think about how you can create more of that. So if it was dopamine, then we need to be more creative. We need to put ourselves in positions that are riskier, but that are still manageable. So those would be things like I'm starting a new project, I'm figuring something out in my mind, and I'm going to put it out in the world. And it might work, it might not work. And the risk of that is what is exciting, while I'm maintaining sovereignty in who I am and keeping myself safe. So always remember, what did I get out of this relationship? I felt needed and I felt those emotions. How can I find other ways to recreate them in a healthy way? The fourth step in INFJs detaching from people that they love is to create an amazing life for yourself. The INFJ epic life, how I always like to call it. Because no matter what, when you have that drug that you want to go back to, this trauma bonding, those detachments that weren't healthy, they're always going to pull you back because they're going to give you something. And as INFJs, if we have something like an emotion, we're rather going to want to feel that than not feel anything at all. Because not feeling anything, that is actually the thing that makes us feel like we're not alive. But we have to understand that we created those emotions. We picked them up and it was our interpretation of who that person is. When we pick up other people's energy, yes, they're giving something off, but it's still our interpretation. It's our flavoring. We see that person through our filter. And so if this gave us some positive emotions and some excitement and whatever it may be, then we can create this in our life as well. And if you know that you might want to go back to all of those old habits and old attachments because they make you feel something, then it's time that we start creating emotions around our own life. The more you do this, the more exciting choosing yourself will be. You're not going to use, your daydreaming only and old trauma bonds as a quick solution, because your real life will make you more exciting. And so for us INFJs, it's not about being completely cold to all of those old things that are pushing you and pulling you back into the old direction, but it's about creating something that is even better. And we're able to do this. And it really is this dynamo effect of, yes, in the beginning it's difficult, it's mental load, it's like really mobilizing yourself. But once you get going, it's going to start feeling so much better so quickly that you know that is the path to go. It might not be great right away, but you will know really quickly that you're on the right path, because that is something that is sustainable and it's you choosing you. So remember, those emotions you felt, you created them in a lot of ways. If you created them, then you can create better emotions for you as well. Just use that knowledge, choose what you absorbed, choose what you learned from that interaction, and put this into your own life. Create the life that makes you feel like that's epic. How could I want anything else than that? And the fifth way in detaching from somebody that we loved in an unhealthy way is to create a safe space around us, a space that is really concrete, that is based on our habits, that is based on our boundaries. And with that, you're creating this safe space that makes you not think about how you have to protect your boundaries all the time, how you have to make sure that you're protecting yourself and helping others. It becomes a sustainable system. And when you have that, you can allow others in while making sure that your boundaries are intact. Because you have to always remember, it's so much easier to protect your boundaries if you feel yourself. If you know yourself, like if you've created this amazing emotional atmosphere around you, you will know really quickly when there's energy coming in that is not helping that entire process. Yes, we can allow some negative energy in order to understand others a little bit better, in order to get inspiration, in order to get information into our system, but we will always get back to what we want, because now we have a new benchmark of how great we can feel. And so the main point here is you deserve this. You deserve to live an INFJ epic life, and you have absolutely everything you need to make that happen. If you want guidance and a community in this process, then join our amazing INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp community. I'm really looking forward to what we can accomplish in the future. This has been a great journey so far. We've been doing bootcamp for a couple of years now, and it's just getting started. So join us until May 11th. That's when we have our first live call. Everything else that you might want to know, you can find in the link in the description, and also join directly there. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.